Hey there, sisterhood. April here, and I'm so excited to launch you into the universe of What's Her Superpower. Superpowers, sisterhood, secrets revealed. What's Her Superpower explodes onto the scene, alternating between real talk solo episodes and electrifying guest interviews. Hello. Today we're going to talk about it is March and it is Financial Freedom Month. That's what we're calling it. Of what we're going to talk about today is, what is your money story? What money story are you telling, or what story are you telling yourself about money? So welcome once again to another episode of What's Her Superpower. I'm your host, April Childers. So I don't know about where you're at, but where I'm at, it's a little cold. So I got my sweatshirt on today. And for those of you who only listen to the podcast, sometimes I wish I would have done just an audio podcast, because there are days my hair is just not cooperating. I have naturally curly hair, and today it's just naturally fuzzy. So we're going to go with fuzzy hair, and we're going to get this information out to you because that's what's important, not my hair. All right, well, let's get started. So where do we get our money story? Let's start with that. And I also have a gift for y'all at the end. You can just click on the link below and pick up a workbook to figure out what your money story is. So where do we get our money story? We get it from somewhere in our past, either as we were growing up, maybe we got it from our parents or our grandparents. And it can be very subtle. So the important thing about this is that not only for us to learn, or sorry, I was looking around. I just realized I didn't even look at the time when I got started, because I try not, y'all know how I am. I can keep talking. So not only do we need to figure out where our money story comes from and what it is for us, but we also need to figure out if we are parents or grandparents or we're young and we don't even have kids, what story are we going to tell our children or our grandchildren? Because that's important. We don't want them growing up with a money story that's not true. So what do I mean by a money story? Some of us grew up and we knew we were poor, and I mean, that's just the blunt part of it. Some kids never grow up and know that they're poor. I mean, I didn't come from a wealthy family. My grandparents raised me. So were we wealthy? No, by any stretch of the imagination. But I didn't know that we were poor because, I was a kid. Money wasn't talked about. Drop me some comments. That I think that's more common than not, that money is not talked about with kids. So if you came from a family that they talked about money, drop me some comments about that. How does that affect your money story now? But even though our parents or our grandparents don't talk about or didn't talk about money, one of the things that it's just subtle things. It's like, you want a toy and they say, oh, we don't have money for that. So not that they're telling you that you're poor, it's usually because they don't want to buy it. But instead of saying that we choose not to spend our money on something like that, they tell you that we don't have enough money. So that creates a scarcity mindset, like, oh, there's not enough to go around. Instead of creating an abundance mindset to say, we choose not to spend our money on that. I remember as a kid, my mom used to tell us that, and I'm the youngest of 6, okay? So money was not, it was a rarity. But instead of saying at the checkout when one of us wanted a piece of candy, we don't have money for that, it was, they're not selling that today. And, it sounds silly, but as a child, I was like, oh, they're not selling that today. It wasn't that we can't afford that, or, we have to put back the bread if we get a piece of candy. It might not have been that bad, but she didn't create that scarcity mindset like we didn't have money. It was just that the store wasn't selling that today. Okay, So we have to be careful of the messages that we have received. And sometimes we don't even know that that's where they come from until we really do the work and really kind of look at where, how do we think about money and where did that come from? And that's what we're going to, really dive into today. And the workbook that I have walks you through all of this. And first of all, it starts with our early memories of money. Y'all know I got my notes over here. So if you see me looking, that's what I'm looking at. So we're going to reflect on our early money memories. Drop me some comments about what your early money memories are. Like I told you about my mom and the candy. How did your family handle finances? Did they talk about money? A lot of families don't. That's more common than not. Sometimes I have friends that have said, I don't know why my parents didn't teach me about money. Maybe they didn't know anything about money. So sometimes it's not their fault. Either they have enough and they don't even think about it because the money's there, or they don't have money and they don't want you as a child to carry that stigma. Maybe that's what they've attached to not having enough money, is the stigma. So, but like I said, sometimes it's very subtle things that we tell our kids or what we don't tell our kids that they pick up on. So let's see, were there any specific money related memories? Drop me some comments on those. How did your family act about money? And they might even, maybe they weren't even talking about themselves. Maybe they were making a, generic comment like, oh, all rich people are bad, rich people aren't generous or something like that. And that has implanted in your head somewhere in the back where it's not even a conscious thought. You just think that, oh, well, all people are bad. That's what my parents said. So that's one of the things that we really want to look at. We want to kind of dive into and spend a little time. If you're a journal, y'all know I love journaling. So you can do that with this workbook and, just make it into a journaling exercise for you, or you can go through the workbook and make comments there. Did your family have clear financial goals or challenges? Did they talk about that? If there was a family vacation in the summertime, did they talk about saving money for the family vacation? Or did you not take a family vacation because they said, oh, we don't have the money? So what kind of thoughts did that put in your head? Sorry, I grabbed a snack before I came on and I probably shouldn't have done that. And what are you telling your kids about that also? Because we all know how expensive everything is. And sometimes we say stuff without even thinking about it. Gas goes up and we complain about it. A loaf of bread goes up and we complain about it. But we have to be careful of what our kids are getting out of that. Are they worried that there's not going to be enough money for food? I mean, that could be a genuine concern when it comes to kids and money and, how the people around them talk about money. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to identify key financial influences. What people or events in your life formed your beliefs about money? So were there significant figures in your life when it came to money? Like I said, my grandparents raised me. So until I was probably 10, they were the significant influence in my life. Now, I remember my grandmother would always come and get me out of school, and we would go on some adventure. And the adventure could be going out to eat. It could be shopping. It could be whatever. Not that, we were rich, like I said, but grandma's little running buddy. So the school actually had to tell her, you have to quit taking her out of school. So that's how that worked. But, I knew we were, every school I think has kids that you know are poor. Just even as a kid, you pick up on that. But did those things make an impression on you, or did somebody in particular make an impression on you when you were young? What were your financial role models? Do you have any financial role models, even now in your life, and not necessarily as a child? Because I don't know that I picked up on that as a child, anything about money, but now, as an adult, do you have people in your life that are financial role models where you hear how they talk and you listen to them, and not that they flaunt money? I'm not sure if I really would consider that a role model. Like, you see these shows and you see all these uh, athletes and stars and stuff, and they got this many cars and they got this. And depending on what your idea of a role model is, that is not my idea of a role model. My idea of a financial responsible role model is somebody that has investments. They're smart with their money. They don't buy the newest and the greatest of everything. They don't trade their car in once a year, and they're upside down. They're not living paycheck to paycheck, but if you're on the outside looking in, they look like they're doing great because they have all the stuff. That's not my idea of a financial role model. I want my role model to be, smart about investments, smart about their money. If they buy a car, maybe it's a nice used car rather than a brand new one. It just kind of depends on the situation, and it depends on what you consider as a role model. So I'm telling you what I consider one. You have to decide what you consider somebody that is financially a role model for you, what that looks like. That's just some of the things that I look for. Are they smart with their money, or do they just blow money like it's going out of style? Okay, that's good for them. All right. Have you experienced financial setbacks and successes that have shaped your attitudes toward money? I know I did. Early in my life, I was, probably 17, 18 years old. I was tending bar. I lived in Houston, and bar, that's like, where you go to drink. I know sometimes my Southern accent comes out, but I made great money. I made good tips, but the bar was sold, and I went and worked at another place where I didn't make as much money. So I had, a car note that was way too expensive for somebody that age. And then when my pay really got cut in half, all of a sudden I couldn't afford all of my bills. So then I'm like, okay, what do I pay? Do I pay this? Do I pay this? I ended up racking up a lot of credit card bills. I ended up selling my car and buying something less expensive. But I'm grateful for that experience because it taught me to be financially responsible and not live above my means. So that served me well when I went in the military. And as a junior sailor or service member, you don't make a lot of money. And then even when I got divorced, my first marriage, when I got divorced, I thought I went and got a second job. I was in the Navy and I worked a second job because I thought I didn't make enough money. Well, I didn't realize at that point that my ex-husband was terrible with money. I mean, I knew he was terrible with money, but I just thought that we just didn't make enough, and he wasn't good at, with money. But I realized after we split up and I was working two jobs that, hey, I do make good money as long as I live within my means. So those two experiences, once younger in my life, and then, probably 10 years later, probably more than that, 15 years later, it really it really made me a lot better with money. And I was good with money after that first one. That was definitely a learning experience that I wouldn't wish on anybody. But if you're going to do it young, because that way your credit and all that stuff, all that fun stuff has time to recover from it. All right. So then next we're going to go on and we're going to explore our money beliefs. So let's see. I got to read that. Examine your current beliefs. So what are your current beliefs about money? We've talked about, like, when we were younger, what has sculpted, what has, developed our money story. So now, what do you believe? What do you believe about wealth and financial success? Do you believe that all rich people are bad, that they're greedy, they don't share their money, they don't give, and I mean, if you really look and you do research on some of the richest people in the world, they give away a huge percentage of their wealth. And I like to talk about money when it comes to women, because I know there are so many women out there, they're in bad relationships or living arrangements because they can't afford to get out on their own. And that makes my heart sad. And no woman should ever be in a situation where she's not able to take care of herself. She can't financially get out on her own and do for herself. So I think it's so important that we look at what has shaped from our past and into our present, because I do believe that everything that has happened in our lives has created us into the people that we are, good or bad. So we really have to look at those things and decide who we are, what we want, and if we don't like where we're at, what we're going to do to change it. We can't wait for somebody to save us. Okay. There is not a prince out there that's going to ride up on a white horse and save you from yourself. Okay. So little tough love there. Hopefully I didn't step on too many toes. All right. Are there any money related fears or anxiety that you carry with you? And I just want y'all to know that some of these, they're not like going to be like this flashing red sign that's going to say, hey, I'm your money concern or I'm your money fear. I took a class one time and the lady was teaching us about, how in our business as an entrepreneur, how to earn more. And a lot of it is to get rid or to deal with the money stories we're telling ourselves. She had one lady that she had worked with who, her dad, the lady's dad, never made more than, I don't know, 50,000, whatever the amount was. So no matter what she did in her business, she topped out. She couldn't get past 50,000. That was her top. And as she did the work, she realized that that's what it was, that she felt she was, not supposed to make more than her dad. So she actually had to call her dad and I hate to say ask permission, but that's kind of what it was. Dad, is it okay with you if I make more money than $50,000? Because I know that's what you made. He's like, well, of course it's not. Why would any parent tell a child not to do better than what they've done? I want both our girls to excel to way past what we've done. So, but some of those hang-ups, I guess hang-up's the right word. Some of those limiting beliefs, there you go, that sounds better than hang-up, are not something that we're really conscious of until we really do the work and look into all that. So do you have any limiting beliefs or negative self-talk related to money? Like I said, rich people are bad. They're greedy, just whatever that might be for you. And drop me some comments in the comment section and just let me know, like, what are some things that maybe are limiting beliefs, or that you've heard growing up, or that you've heard as an adult. I mean, it doesn't always have to be things that maybe our families had, our parents taught us about money or taught you about money. And, you have a healthy relationship, but somebody, maybe a spouse or somebody you dated, had something to say about your ambition, or being an entrepreneur, about your business, that you took, maybe when you heard it, you were like, oh yeah, whatever, but that stuck with you. It could be um, uh, the slightest comment. And that's what we need to realize. It doesn't have to be some big event that happened in our lives. It could be some small comment that really messed with our train of thought. So we want to get rid of those. Assess your money habits. So now we're going to take a close look at our financial habits. How do you manage your finances on a daily basis? Do you know where your money's going? Can you sit down and account for your money? I know when I was younger, no, I couldn't even tell you. And part of that was because before I went in the Navy, like I said, I tended bar, I waitressed. Most of my money was in tips. So when you have cash in hand, it is really hard to say, oh, I spent $20 on this. And we all know when you break a $20 bill, it's gone like that. So where is our money going? What are our habits, our financial habits? Are they good habits or are they not? Do we pay ourselves first? Do we have a budget? Do we stick to our budget? Are we making investments? Do we have an emergency fund? There's so many questions there. Are there any recurring patterns in spending, saving, or investing habits? Are you an emotional shopper? When you're down or you're depressed, do you shop? Some people are emotional eaters. Some people are emotional shoppers. So it just depends on what gives you that. Either it's a feeling of comfort, of a high, so to speak, where you eat or you shop or whatever. So what are your spending habits? Are you, I call my husband cheap. I consider myself frugal. I consider him cheap. So that's our spending habits. But luckily, we work well together and we've been able to accomplish a lot of our goals because we were on the same page. And that's something you need to look at too. Whoever is important in your life, are you on the same page? And there's so many people that get married or get in relationships or move in together, and they never talk about money before they do that. If you can have sex with somebody, you can talk about money. If you can have sex with somebody, you can talk to them about money. Okay, now that we're clear on that. So make sure that whoever you choose to have in your life, you have the same goals. And if you don't, it's okay to keep your money separate. There are no rules that say that you have to join your money. After I got divorced the first time, I swore that I would never combine my money with somebody else. But my husband now, when we were dating, he was going on deployment. We went down to the bank. He put me on his bank account and I paid his bills while he was gone. And now our money is joined. It has been since even before we were married. But like I said, we're on the same page. So you definitely have to be careful of that. Do you have financial goals? And if so, do you have a plan in place to actively work toward them? Do you want to go on, let's see, it's March right now. Do you want to go on a summer vacation? Are you looking at Christmas? Are you still paying off last year's Christmas bills? We're 3 months in, those credit cards have been coming in. So are you struggling to pay off Christmas? If you are, then you definitely need to sit down and develop a plan so that doesn't happen this Christmas. And it could be anything you want it to be. It could be spending less at Christmas, maybe drawing names if you have like a large family, or don't buy for adults. Some people buy just for the kids. If you have a lot of kids in your family, draw names. There's so many things that you can do. Christmas should not be stressful because of money, because you feel the need to buy for everyone else. Maybe do handmade gifts. Maybe give your time instead of buying a present. Take them out to lunch. Yes, you are still spending money when you go to lunch, but It's that quality time that you're spending with them that is really more valuable than any present you could give them. So consider alternatives and talk to your family. And you know what? If they're not willing to work with you, then that should maybe tell you something right there. I'm not telling you to disown your family. Don't send me hate mail. Okay, so you're going to go through, look at your habits, look at your goals, develop. If you don't have any goals, develop goals, and sometimes maybe the goal is just to save $100, because there's so many people out there that are they're living paycheck to paycheck, and they are one disaster, and a disaster could be a flat tire away from, not having enough money to pay their bills or being homeless. So that's something that you really need to look at and take into consideration. All right. The last thing, we're going to review our money memories. We're going to look at our key financial influencers, our beliefs, our money beliefs, our habits, look at our goals. Let's see, past experience, present. Yep. Any events that may have influenced. So yeah, that's where you get that. You've done all the work on all the previous parts of the workbook. And that last section is you're just going to really look at the big picture and create that big picture for yourself. And, really come up with the plan and this is what I think. Why do I think that way? So I think that's about it. Let's see. All right. Well, we're going to be under 30 minutes. So what did we talk about today? The first thing we talked about is writing. The overall theme is writing your money story. Okay. If we're going to write our money story, we really have to look at what has created that money story. So first thing we did is we reflected on our early money memories. So then we went on to identify our key financial influences. Then we looked at, we explored our money beliefs. We assessed our money habits. And then we took all that and connected the dots between all of that to create our money story. So take some time. Don't forget to pick up the workbook. There's a link below. All you got to do is drop your name and your email address in there so I can send it to you. And that way you'll also get any kind of new releases when we drop a new episode of the podcast, any kind of training that I'm doing. Don't want you to miss a thing. If there's anything in particular you would like to hear, drop me some comments. I'm always looking for new ideas on what to do. I think that's it. I think that's all I got for y'all today. So have a great day. Create your money story. Create the money story that you want, don't settle on what you have. If you're not happy with where you're at, then change that money story. You have the power to do that. And I believe in you and I know you can do it. All right. Y'all have a great day. Be blessed. Love you. Bye. Forget unicorns. Unlock your true potential with actionable tips, inspiring stories, and a whole lot of laughs. Join the mission. Subscribe now. Find your own What's Her Superpower. Join the mission.